Right, next on the bench we've got this Bf 109E. I haven't built many German aircraft, but this one's definitely on the radar, particularly because I want to build this version with the yellow nose, which is part of this colour scheme option from this Eduard kit. So, right, first of all, basically, there's quite a lot of PE parts in this kit as well, but predominantly, as with most aircraft, inside it's one colour, and this is RLMO2, which I'm using. So what I'm doing is getting together all the parts that are basically that colour, and I've separated the PE parts from the metal sprue for the instrumentation. There's quite a lot of PE stuck to the there's a few pieces stuck to the sidewalls, but there's no way on earth you can, well, I can't do it, where you paint the sidewall then fit the PE afterwards, because the glue just interferes with the paint, etc., and it's so tiny. I find it's easy just to glue all the PE in place, and if it's not coloured, that is, and then paint it out, pick it out afterwards. So that's what I'm going to do with the chain drive mechanism for the trim tabs and things like that. All the rest of it, that's the cockpit tub itself, the seat, loads of twiddly bits in there, the joystick, and some oxygen bottle arrangements. Even the actual intakes for the engine, the same sort of colour again, so that can be all put together. There are some PE grilly bits that go on there, but you won't be able to see them very much when it's finished, but you can actually paint those afterwards if you want to. I guess the PE is made out, for those parts, is made out of brass, but the cockpit is something else, I think. It's got PE parts for the foot pedals as well, and for the seat belts. So there's quite a lot of detail in this kit. Certainly very good value for the price of it. And there is an option in this one as well to have the engine exposed and the guns and all the cowlings removed, etc. But you can't have both. You can't have one or the other. You've got to make a decision: do I want to expose the engine or not? I did start building it at this point with the option. Maybe I didn't know at the time, but you can't have the covers off and then put them back on again because they don't fit. Because the engine is to scale, so it's and the covers won't physically fit over the top of it, so you actually have to cut some of the engine away to make it fit. But so you need to build it as a basic. You have to put some of the engine in there so you can get, so you can mount the propeller and you can mount the exhaust stubs, etc. So I did build it, but I didn't use it. So I'm fitting all the chain parts to the side walls. Some of the PE is so small, I just wouldn't bother using it. That particular piece there, that white piece, I just don't see the point. But you can use it if you want. I glued the PE parts on this with super glue. There's two pieces of it in that particular part as well. At this point I decided to fit the exhaust intake. You could paint it and fit it afterwards. I didn't see the point. It's just easier to locate it into the fuselage half and then mate the other one up and make sure it fits properly. Right, so these are all the components for the cockpit. Just prepping that up so I can get to the stage where I can paint everything the RLMO2. That's the gun bay areas. Make a decision if you need to use it or not. You've basically got to fit it in there as part of the structural integrity of the actual fuselage, but you don't have to paint it if you're not going to expose the guns and things. Right, these three components can be painted RLMO2 now. Build up the basic engine. I made a mistake. You don't actually need to fit the engine bearers, and if you do, the cowling won't fit either, so I ended up cutting those off once it was mounted into the aeroplane. Right, all the parts are painted up. I've picked out some of the detail. I used basically Vallejo model colour, different colours for that. It's quite a nice paint for this job. Very, very small stuff. It looks bigger on video than it really is. Definitely use a big magnifier for picking out the detail for that. There's a bit of detail on both sides. I'm not sure how accurate the colours are, but there we go. I haven't weathered the cockpit just yet, but I did do a bit of dry brushing on it later on when it was all dry. Okay, now the cockpit's basically completed. We can start adding on the PE parts for the instrument panel. I'm using glue and glaze for this because it's You don't have to scratch the paint off where it's going, and it's easier to reposition the parts as well. If you use super glue, it's pretty much it stays where you put it, doesn't it, really? So you don't need to use very much of it. It's very sticky stuff. If I'm picking the parts up with a sharp scalpel, just stabbed into it, works quite well as well. And it's that simple. Just drop it in place, push it down, and away you go. Right, it's the same routine for gluing the two halves of the PE together. So you've got the dial bits at the back, and then you've got the front fascia of the actual instrument panel. Again, pick it up with a blade, drop it on top. Comes in two halves as this instrument panel. They look seamless when it's built though. Right, okay, there we go, that's fitted. That's the lower part fitted to the lower instrument panel. Looks quite nice and colourful. Fitted the seat belts as well, again PE, multiple pieces, quite tricky to do actually. But they look a lot better than a decal, like you would get with a Tamiya kit for instance. Right, at this stage I've joined the fuselage halves together. It doesn't show it in the kit, but you can actually fit the cockpit from the bottom, which I'm doing just now. It's much easier to make sure it's just a better way of making sure it lines up properly as well, and it fits lovely like that way. So that can be glued in place now. I've also fitted the rear bulkhead behind the cockpit. That's still yet to be painted. Right, I've fitted all the engine covers now. No problem once you've trimmed away bits of the engine appropriately. It's quite a delicate kit. You've got to be careful when you're building it because the tolerances are quite tight. There's a seam line on ME109s, so don't remove. You can remove it, but you need to put it back in again. So I had to rescribe in the ribbing, if you like, and I put in some new rivets as well. The rivets on the top is a double line of rivets, so getting them accurately would be quite tricky, but I'll give it a go later on. When you need to fit the PE parts on the front of the air intakes, just make sure when you fit them that they do fit well, because it would foul the covers that I'm putting on at this point. But again, they fit fine if you do that. Right, before you fit the undercarriage or fit the wings together, you have to paint inside that bit tyre black, and that bit's RLMO too, so can't do that afterwards, so I'm painting that first. Now we can fit the lower wing half if you want to as well. Okay, now the bays have been painted. I've fitted them into the upper part of the wing. That's quite nice. And now the top wing can be fitted. Fits seamlessly. Really nice fit on this kit. Everything fits really well. So far anyway. And I just need glued in place on both sides, of course. The leading edges on ME109s or BF109s, whatever, they have leading edge slats that are automatic. They open and close appropriately for the speed of the aircraft. On the kit they're open, so I'm assuming they must be open on the ground, so I'm not quite sure what colour it should be in there, but I've painted it RLM2 for now, but I need to decide if I'm going to keep it camo or keep it like that. I can always mask it later on anyway. Right, I fitted the rest of the control surfaces. The flaps have got to be deflected downwards, it's how the kit is, as the slats have got to be open as well. Fitted the ailerons, of course, and the struts for the tail. I haven't fitted the rudder yet, because I'm going to paint that separately because it's a different colour altogether. Fitted the canopy at this point, so the front canopy and the back canopy is glued on, and the centre one is a very good fit, so you can just push it into place while you're masking it. You get masks in the kit, so I fitted those, and they're really nice to use. So I fitted the aerial, but I'm not convinced it's going to stay there for now, so it's a bit fragile. What I'm going to do with the undercarriage bays, I'm going to mask them with white tack. I find that works quite well actually as a masking, and you can get it in there quite accurately as well. So it's ready for masking, for priming actually, but I need to paint around the canopy the RLMO2 again first, just to make sure it looks like it's the same colour inside. And then I'm going to mask off the nose and paint that yellow, as I am the rudder as well. Okay, there we go, two pieces painted yellow. Got the rudder, which removes, of course. The canopy, as I've said earlier, does come off. It fits really nicely, which makes your life so much easier when you're painting the model. I've started to mask off the nose now, so I need to completely cover that up so we don't get any paint on it. And that's the white tack for masking off the undercarriage. Right, I've added a coat of Mr. Surfacer 1500 grey, and now applied the appropriate blue to the bottom and the sides of the fuselage. Right, I've masked it up now to accept the next colour, which is RLMO2 for the first of the two greens. Well, there we go, that's the green down. It's very easy to paint as this model, very quick. Right, this is a simple masking for the next colour to be applied, very easy to do. Not sure about the wing nukes yet, I think they need some attention afterwards, but we'll do that when this bit's been done. And there we go, that's the basically all the standard colours on there, so it's a blank canvas if you like. Quite happy with that, as I say, quite easy to do. I've applied a gloss coat now, and it's now time to start putting the decals on there. Okay, with these being Eduard decals, you can remove the carrier film. These have proven a little bit resistant to remove, if you like. So what I recommend you do, it's very important, you leave the decals on there for 24 hours before you attempt to do this. But soak them in, I'm using white spirit, and just soak them for about, I don't know, 10-15 minutes. Just leave it like that for 10-15 minutes. Then wipe it off, and then you'll start to feel it peeling, and then should come off quite well. Just start picking at the edges with a brush. Quite a reasonably stiff brush. And then just pick up the edge with your tweezers. It's a bit like pulling off sunburn. There you go, it's starting to lift now. Right, we've given it a coat of matte varnish now, and it's very important that you do this because we're going to apply some flory wash to this. It needs a matte coat for it to grip onto, really, so that's kind of important that you do it. Right, it's very simple, you just basically get your flory and paint it all over. Put some cloths down, it makes a right mess though. You can do, and be careful the bottles fall over for fun. You can paint it on quite liberally and just let it dry. Okay, once it's dry, take a damp piece of t-shirt material, cloth, whatever, cotton buds, anything really, and just start removing it. It can be a little bit, I don't know, it doesn't just fall off, it has to be encouraged to come off, if you like. Put a little bit of pressure on there to remove it. And it will tend to stain the paint a little bit as well, which I like. I want it to do that because it kind of mutes all the colours down. And it gets in all the panel lines, all the rivet detail. Anywhere that sticks out or has got a recess in it, it'll get in there. Okay, there we go. I suppose at a glance it doesn't look any different, but it really does look different. Close up you can see it. There's a lot more detail being brought out by the wash. So now I just need to decide, well, how I'm going to weather it, because it doesn't need weathering too much, doesn't this model? My canopy could come off at this point, but I'll just leave it on for now. It's brought out some lovely detail in this moulding of this kit. Very nice kit for this. Lots of nice subtle rivets and lines. Okay, I'm just adding some highlights, silver highlights to all the panel lines and stuff. Lots of it's chipping and things like that. I'm just speeding the footage up to give you an idea what's going on. Right, I'm going to call it a day at that. That's enough. I don't want to overdo this because it's as I've said quite a few times, I suspect by now. Not a heavily weathered aeroplane at this time, 1940 or something. It won't have been around that long, so I think that's good enough. Right, I fitted the undercarriage. It's all right as the undercarriage. It's relatively easy to build up, very detailed. Quite a tricky. It does have flats on it, so you can get the angles correct, but it's quite an ungainly looking airplane on the ground, I think. And the undercarriage was, throughout its whole service life, was a bane to pilots. It used to cause lots of accidents and things. But so I think the undercarriage on these look a bit rubbish. The tail wheel's very vulnerable to breaking off. I've broken it off twice at this point. Super glue was my friend at this point. I had to glue it back on twice with it. I built up the propeller and the spinner. It's quite a fragile unit. I broke the blades off that twice as well, and the spinner itself doesn't fit until you grind away part of the spinner hub to make it fit on there. But I managed to get it done eventually. Next job's to complete the canopy. The canopy itself's got this headrest affair glued inside it. You got to be careful not to get glue on the canopy, obviously. And the headrest itself needs painting. It's got like a backrest built into it as well, so that needs painting. Right, the propeller and spinner unit's been fitted permanently, and some subtle weathering added to it as well. Fitted the canopy as well and put the retaining strap on. That's a bit of PE, which is rather tricky to fit. All PE is really, and it's so delicate, and you have to use super glue to attach it to plastic. But it looks quite nice when it's finished. Again, at this point, this model's becoming quite fragile. Right, I'm just fitting the exhaust stubs. You have to do them from the back to the front. They're really fiddly to do these. They're a very, very tight fit. So just exercise a bit of patience when you're doing it, and make sure you get them lined up correctly so they won't all fit in there. The last one at the front is a real nightmare to get in as well, so have fun with that. We're creating the antenna wire with easy line, so it's got a blob of super glue on each point of contact. I really don't like using this stuff because it's just like trying to herd cats sometimes, but it went okay. And to give the impression of some of the fittings that's on the line itself, like springs and stuff like that, I've used a bit of, again, some PVA or something similar. When that's dry, you can then paint it whatever colour you think's appropriate, probably just black. And there we go, that's a completed model. I couldn't film all the final tiny little pieces. My head gets in the way when I'm working really closely. But yeah, it's been a really fun build. It's very, very quick build as well. It's a very easy model to build, is this one. There's not a right lot to it. There's no ordnance on it or anything like that, so that saves a bit of time. But a thoroughly enjoyable, nice thing to build. Without further ado, revolving table time. And thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.